Good day, folks. This is Omar Hosea, servant, well, human out here. I had just doing some more research and more posting, and some things I had to remember. And I haven't been back on the political language, because we as Hebrew Moors, born here in America, part of our knowledge and part of our gifts are to share with you the laws of this country, the laws of nationality, and how they affect us. And this is more or less about the psychology of a runaway. Now, we know in the 1700s, there was a 10-point system between the North and the South of Abraham Lincoln, and everybody wanted to praise Abraham Lincoln for freeing his slaves. But you have to look at this logically. Heavenly Father, grant me the wisdom and the knowledge to speak this, and let it be sound knowledge, let it be sound doctrine, let it be facts and not fiction, Father, that you may be glorified in all these things. And when those that research this will glorify you, and not me and not us, but you will be lifted up when we all get this and we come under you under one banner and one fig tree, and that you would be our only God and not worship so many gods. In Yahshua's name of Nazareth, whom we ask and pray, and by the power of the Holy Spirit, that I come. Selah. And so, the point of this video is this. When the South didn't want to give up slavery physically, there was a war, obviously. And then when the North said, okay, they were kind of smart. They said, well, hold up. We can get more money and more commerce, and we can pay our taxes to England and support our motherland, which is England to them, by letting these slaves of all so-called colors, black, red, and brown, which is the so-called Mexican, the so-called Hispanics, the so-called Hispanic, Latino, the so-called black man, and the so-called yellow man, which is the Filipino, because he brought them over there too, brought them over here with them as well. And so it says, and you have to think about this logically. If your slave or your property is running away from you, then that's a problem. Like if you have a dog or a cat and you've been feeding and you've been taking care of it, and all of a sudden it keeps running away, then your investment just goes out the window, and so you have a bunch of dog food, cat food. You just have a lot of excess stuff laying around. You have nothing to do with it, so you're naturally angry, and so you'll find yourself arguing with your kids and your friends and your wives and your other business partners. But somebody came up with a brilliant idea. They said, how about this? We're going to create a law, and it's a secret, and we're going to put it in the book, because they can't read our laws, they don't know our language, and they won't desire anything of what we're doing, because they're too worried about being murdered, manipulated, working, living, not dying, singing their songs and all that. So we'll just keep writing these things, and they never really wanted to get to know it. Now, peep game, don't take my word for it, but get the psychological, because you got a brain like I got a brain. And so, some smart dude or two, maybe they woman when they was at home having sex with their woman, or maybe they was having sex with a colored slave. We don't know. But somebody came up with an idea. They said, well, hold up. We have a law, a fugitive law, and that if any slaves run away, we can go to any state and go get them ourselves. But then they came up with a different program where we'll keep the slaves, but we'll collect their names, and we'll write birth certificates for them. And so they really didn't run away anywhere. They're still running under us, meaning one house. Now think about it. Because they have a slogan that says, let us protect this house. So now, we look at the house as a pale skin house, or what they call, or like some of our Kemetic brothers and Black Power movement brothers, and those are the black movement. And I use that term black loosely because there's no such creature. I just want to literally, but I give respect to y'all fight, and y'all are my brothers and sisters, so one love. But in the same breath, they gave us, excuse my tongue, and so they wrote this in a law. They said, okay, how about we don't fight each other, because a house divided will fall. Because they read the Bible too. They know the things that are in the Bible, because they manipulated some of the things to trick us into thinking that it's real. Because we're so disconnected from our spiritual self and from our land and from our culture that we just took hold to whatever they wrote in there. But we never read their program, because they never let us see it till this day and age. But when you look at it logically, once again, you say, okay, there was a law against runaway slaves. But now they fixed the law to where now the slave can go anywhere in the United States unless he has a felony. See, now you're no longer free to roam the states if you have a felony in writing. So that means that in your mind, if you act animalistic, that's why they call us monkeys and apes and baboons. If you begin to climb the trees of their life and of their cities and start to act animalistic, then they have these laws to lock you up, which is called a felony, and so you can't get a passport to leave the country, where you can be treated humane and get your nationality and be taught or to be re-educated or reminded of who you are. And so that is what they would call as mental slavery. So now that they have a birth certificate, now they've stamped all our children and they classify them as black, white, Latino, Hispanic, Mexican, which these is all brand names, as I put in the video before. So now you're no longer physically a slave, but you're still mentally a slave. Because if you don't seek out your nationality, then they got you. Because they have a system in their school system that won't teach you how to be free. Think about that. At once we was physically locked up, you couldn't go nowhere because they come and get you with the hound dogs, and they'd kill you. And then your own people, because they produce. I got a post on it on Facebook and on Google Plus where it has a list. It has a sign that says in Boston that if any runaway slave come to you, make sure you turn them in. What we call a snitch today, or a rat. You know what I mean? Those that killed Malcolm X, Martin Luther King, and sabotage Marcus Garvey, Pee-wee's dude that gave him that bad shot of dope. You know what I mean? These people get that from. This is where that system comes from. And so now, anytime a group of educated men or a willful of men and women decide that they want to break away physically and break away mentally as well as break away spiritually, you're considered a runaway slave. And so they would send people to come get you, like your own people, the police, the feds, the CIA, and then they'll come after your family, and they'll threaten your family and all those things. And so technically, if you're a so-called black African American, you are technically in mental slavery, because you have not educated yourself to physically break off, nor mentally and emotionally and spiritually break off. Because we go to their schools, and I'm not saying that we can't read their literature to find our stuff, because they took our stuff and housed our stuff so they can manipulate our stuff, use it against us. But if you go back and reclaim our stuff and then learn their stuff, we're going to take our stuff back and use their stuff against them. And that is called a free thinker, or a man who is too educated to be a slave. And that's a quote from, I can't remember who it is, that, that once a man has gained knowledge of himself, he's no longer worthy to be a slave. And so that's where he get that from. So it's not so much that he coined it, but he figured it out like I did myself. And so that's why I'm sharing this video with you guys, that, the only difference, there is no difference between being in physical slavery and mental slavery, because you still can't go anywhere. And so, when you say that you want to go about this Ferguson thing that you want to go to the courts, go to the police, and argue the laws and vote for this and that, you're in mental slavery. They have laws that puts that idea in mute because they need you to be mentally captured. So that's why we have, and no disrespect to Jay-Z, Rick Ross, none of you drug dealers, none of you prostitutes and pimps and players. Really, no disrespect to you guys, because if that's what you choose, that's what you choose. You know, that's, you know, glory be to the Most High, because He knows the best of all man's affairs and women's attractiveness. So let's not, you know, don't put me on, you know, on blast like that, saying, well, I'm against this. No, I'm not God, and I didn't create you, and I didn't put you in your space and time, because I'm built perfect, but I'm not perfect. So I'm trying to, you know, speak a little fast so I won't run out of time. And so this is why, you know, our churches, our entertainers, you know, our sports players, our book writers, our movie writers, men like Spike Lee, you know, them places like Harlem, it hasn't flourished because we're still mentally in slavery. Some of us Moors, we're still mental slavery because the Moors get so many different fashions of their thing. Same thing with Islam, so many fashions. Same thing with Christianity, so many fashions. That now that we're physically, mentally, and now we're spiritually enslaved because we were broke up physically, so we turn each other in. We're broke up mentally because now I'm telling you that you broke because you ain't got this money, because you ain't got this Gucci belt, because her booty ain't this, and she said because her wave is like that, and then now spiritually because you don't pray this way, your religion's not that, the religion's like that. So that whole chaotic atmosphere pays the bills. It pays their commerce. It magnifies their corporations. They're able to cipher all our God-given talents and our God-given resources. And so we're just saying, you know, think about that Israel. Think about that Ishmael. Think about that so-called black man, so-called African-American. Think about that commit. You know, it's easy for us to keep talking about what happened 1,000 years ago and say, well, prove this. But today is not being talked about. You know what I mean? The past is gone. The future is not here. So I'm making this video for the present in my own mind because I have to start with myself and then share that with you. And thus I share with folks in another video, I don't buy brand new. I don't buy anything pale skin unless I have to. And the only reason why, because I have to, is because my family, which is my Afri and Afra, mean male and female Asiatic brothers and sisters, don't own anything. Y'all don't make anything. And so if you got a corner store, I'm going to the corner store. And if the corner store don't have brand new socks and nice shoes that I can fit, that's going to be comfortable for me, then I got to go somewhere else. And so that's the only time that's valid. But until next time, before my time run out, I say we love you, man. May the Most High keep y'all safe. Assalamu alaikum. Shalom. Peace. And enjoy your day. One.